The CEO and founder of CANARY Capital just made a huge mistake. I'm going to play this. It says why an XRP ETF will destroy an ETH ETF. This is Stephen McClurg. He is the CEO. He's going to explain to Paul Barron why he thinks XRP spot ETF will outperform Ethereum, but his argument doesn't quite stack up. Let me know if you can catch it. If you can't, I'm going to break it all down for you. But I also want you to focus on Paul Barron's reactions here as Stephen McClurg is talking to him. Watch this.
Why do you think XRP's ETF might perform differently if you kind of compare, I guess, Bitcoin and ETH right now, who are going head to head?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think there's really three different reasons why I believe that XRP is going to do well versus ETH, for instance. One of them is staking. So if you're actually a bit more crypto native, you're not going to buy an ETH ETF because you can go to one of the crypto exchanges or go somewhere off chain or actually on chain. You can get a 2 to 3% yield.
Right.
So why would you buy an ETF if you can get a yield on top of your token somewhere else? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
And since XRP doesn't offer that, then it doesn't matter whether it's on an exchange, whether it's in an ETF or not. You're not losing out on anything. So that's reason number one. Number two, I just mentioned it's really the category leader.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so just so you know, I did confirm this is the CEO and co-founder of CANARY Capital. Now, he's talking about one of his biggest reason of why people will buy an XRP spot ETF over an Ethereum ETF is because you can basically go buy spot Ethereum and you could take it to an exchange or someplace, some kind of DeFi layer, and you can stake Ethereum and get an extra yield. So it wouldn't make sense to buy the ETF because you can buy Ethereum off the open market, stake it, and you get even more, correct? That's his theory. But what he doesn't quite understand is there is a massive amount of DeFi layer being built out for the XRP ledger community. Yes, you can natively stake XRP. It's not a proof of stake network, but through Flare and other DeFi layers, you're going to be able to get that same yield his argument was about. Like, it doesn't make sense. Let me show you this. So I'm watching this clip with Stephen McClurg, the CEO and co-founder of CANARY Capital Group. He's saying that people want to buy a spot XRP ETF over a Ethereum spot ETF because people can stake Ethereum and earn extra yield. My thought is that you're going to be able to stake XRP through Flare and get a return as well. What other areas can people stake XRP to get returns? So check this out. So Flare, unlocked DeFi utility. Flare transformed XRP into FXRP, allowing it to be used in Flare's DeFi ecosystems, AMMs, lending pools, and staking for FTSO validators and rewards. Typically, APY is 8 to 10% annually. Okay. And then you're like, all right, the risks, of course, are smart contract, bridge risks, plus market fluctuations. Of course, you can wrap XRP into DeFi on other chains and get a return. Wrapped versions like XRP or CBXRP, Base or BNB chains let you deposit into AMMs, lending protocols on popular layer 2s on side chains. Returns are similar to 5 to 10%. And then, of course, centralized exchange earn rewards programs, Binance Simple Earn, flexible savings yield up to 0.05% APY. And of course, they have some promotional stuff, sometimes 5 to 50%. BitTrue has Power Piggy. What I'm trying to say here, his main argument doesn't quite stack up for me. Let me know if I got anything wrong here, or if you think that I am kind of maybe being too harsh on this gentleman. I just think, listen, if we're going to put our best effort out here into the world to institutions to let people know what's really going on, the truth about all of this, we need to be exact in what we say, because these types of things have a way of coming back to bite us and just making us look like we don't know what we're doing or we know what we're talking about. So, I appreciated everything CANARY Capital is doing in the crypto space and bringing information like this to light, but we do need to get these things right, because
so the category leaders that people can understand are going to make a lot more sense, whereas ETH has a lot more competition in its category. XRP has very little. So people are going to see that as the clear leader. It's done a lot to keep the technology upgraded, continue to move forward, to remain the leader. So, I think that's really, that's really that. And then really the third point here is the demand and the community and the number of people that are following this thing. So look, I think XRP's $5 billion the first month across the board. So we'll see how that goes. But I believe out of the gate, it's definitely going to outperform what ETH did out of the gate.
Listen, I can't help myself. It's a Sunday. It's an afternoon here. I'm here recording content, and the Paul Barron look, man, it was just too good. I'm wondering if the same thing that was going through my mind was going through Paul Barron's mind, but all good. You're interviewing someone of that caliber. You don't really want to throw that into his face, but maybe after the call's done, you say, hey man, you can stake XRP down through Flare and other asset layers and get a percentage. So, anyways, good information towards the end there. He believes 5 billion can come into XRP here over the first few weeks. Let's see how that all spins out. Here's Joshua Jake. XRP holders are the smartest investors. I'd love to hear that, baby.
These might be the smartest crypto investors out of any single other cryptocurrency. That might make you mad, but hear me out. These motherfuckers literally held through every ounce of FUD in the market, and to this day, still aren't taking profit. So here's what I believe the play is for XRP if you don't even hold any right now. Also, why can't we have vans like this in the US?
This is straight up like a first class flight on Emirates.
So as you guys know, XRP surpassed Uber's market cap today. This is off the cusp of the huge announcement where Ripple versus the SEC is finally over. The lawsuit has finally ended. That news was actually so bullish, it pushed Ethereum briefly over $4,000 today for the first time in like 3 years.
I don't know if that's actually true, it just feels like it.
But with this announcement, analysts are now predicting that XRP is about to break out. Of course, you got the crazy bulls that believe it's going to go to $1,000.
Then you have the realistic people like me that think we could see $5 to $6. Let me explain.
Because while seeing a green dildo the size of the Burj Khalifa on the chart, which we technically saw in November of 2024, can that happen again? Well, here's what we know. Right now, growth is being fueled in expanding payment corridors, stablecoin adoption, and more tokenized assets on the XRPL. I'm not going to cover Jake Claver's insane price predictions.
You can let me know in the comments if you believe XRP is going to go over $1,000 or not.
Listen, I just did a video kind of breaking down Jake Claver's price prediction. If you haven't seen that video, please go see it. I thought a lot about that price prediction. I wanted to look at the actual hard data behind it and looked at what needed to happen for Jake's price prediction to happen. And also, Jake has been kind of walking back his price prediction in recent streams. So if you haven't seen that video, it drops today sometime here on a Sunday. If you're watching this on Monday, go take a look. Let me know what you think. I try not to be like too harsh about it, but I just wanted to give you all of the details and all of the information and show you what I was seeing opposed to what Jake might be seeing.
But I'm going to talk about the real world push behind XRP's utility. Because with the Ripple lawsuit being appealed, the selling pressure from this lawsuit is finally over. And now charts will finally, hopefully be much less manipulated. So what's next for the XRP price? Well, XRP's recent price action has been very impressive, breaking out from its range of $2 and $2.80, now over $3, pushing $3.22. And this is all happening while XRP is breaking out of its Bollinger Bands on the 4-hour time frame, which is a behavior that usually means the market is not just reacting to a one-off headline, but could be entering an expansion wave where prices are discovered quickly. Now, the analysts that are covering this say that there's a gap between the upper and lower weekly bands, and that is getting bigger, which suggests that the calm is over and things are about to get more volatile, which you can quite clearly see on the chart right here. But with the nearest heavy resistance sitting closer to $3.60 to $3.80. Though the pace will depend on whether the bulls can defend $3.20.
And that's the biggest takeaway, because right now XRP is trying to turn $3.20 into support. If it cannot, XRP is probably going to push back down to that lower range between $2.20 and $2.80. But what happens if it does break out?
Well, one of the biggest catalysts people are waiting on is going to be an XRP ETF. With the legal status of XRP now being defined, of course, from the lawsuit that was just ended, analysts are speculating that all hurdles around a spot ETF approval have been removed. And
okay, really quickly, let's just clear this up, right? The case was just ending, but it had nothing to do with XRP being a security or not being a security. That was done years ago, right? We had the judge order that XRP is not a security on these secondary sales. And so that wasn't even in question of what the appeal was about. So I just needed to clarify that because he misspoke here.
ETF store president Nate Garassi is convinced that BlackRock will also file for an XRP ETF in the coming months, which in this case could push XRP above the $4 range.
Now, on top of this, you saw the executive order from Donald Trump, which is going to allow crypto to be allocated to 401ks. And with XRP being the third largest cryptocurrency, now having regulatory clarity or at least regulatory guidance, this is going to be a prime contender for the allocation to these portfolios. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, But what I am saying is that XRP looks very likely as if it's going to push over that $4 level, potentially reaching to an upper band of around $7 to $8 this cycle.
Which to me in itself would be the equivalent of a god candle of the Burj Khalifa.
Okay, I don't want to sit here any more than I have to and listen to more of this, but what I want to show you is this. So the gentleman here from Canary Capital, at the very end, he said, let me just replay this real quick.
And the number of people that are following this thing. So look, I think XRP's $5 billion the first month.
$5 billion the first month. They're going to decide this in October, it sounds like. So if they got this done in October, the first month would be before the end of this year. $5 billion. Okay, let's take a look at current XRP inflows and market cap change. I'm looking for the average market cap multiplier from inflows to market cap change for XRP. I'm trying to establish what the average market cap multiplier we're seeing currently is. Here is some information that allow us to do that here. Recent institutional inflows attracted about 200 million institutional inflows, August 9th. Market cap on August, that's not helpful. Market cap multiplier estimates, multiple independent models and real-time analytics show that XRP's market cap reacts disproportionately to capital flows. This especially is pronounced to thin liquidity conditions. EZA simulator for 10 billion in buy orders would jump from 176. Okay, so look, EZA was the guy, they have some kind of, research. They're building some kind of DeFi layer on the XRP ledger. They said that by 2030, they see XRP going to $1,000 per token. They built this simulator, and for $10 billion, you're looking at a 516x multiplier on their simulator. Other analysts historically have multipliers between 100 and 500x. So now that we know this, show me what $5 billion in fresh inflows into spot XRP products. The market cap multiplier on that should be 100x, 250x, or 500x. Show me what would this do to the market cap for XRP and what price levels per XRP. Okay. So what I'm trying to understand here is the guy from Canary Capital thinks there's going to be $5 billion in fresh inflows in the first month of spot XRP ETFs being out. Okay. We understand that the market cap multiplier for fresh inflows ranges from 100 to 500x. Okay. Just to show you what $5 billion does. So $5 billion at 100x gives you an $11 XRP. A $5 billion at 250x multiplier gives you $24, and a 500x multiplier on 5 billion is $2.5 trillion market cap, a $45 XRP. So when the gentleman here says he doesn't see XRP going over like $6 to $7, he obviously doesn't know anything about market cap multipliers and thin liquidity on these chains. So all good, nobody is spending this much time digging into Ripple and XRP as we do on this channel. This is the full time. This is what we want to understand. This is the stuff we live on, we thrive on. And when we talk about this stuff, we want to be exact with our information. I hope we clarified some of this stuff for you today. And I hope this makes you a little bit more bullish on where this is all going. You know what? We're 14 minutes here. I don't want to, I'm going to say this for another video. I did want to show you this because I thought this was really cool. I think sometimes, I think there's something bigger than myself or humans out there, right? Like, I don't know. I believe there's something greater, something more, right? And this is just interesting. This is March 15, 2011. Okay. So this is before the XRP ledger was created, but this video is just fun. It's just, listen.
For people that are listening all over the world, and I had 2 clues, which I'm going to give you one today. Okay. I'm going to give you one clue now, which I haven't spoken of yet. You ready, Mr. Codebreaker? Because I'm the code maker. And then the other one is the tree, the oak tree, which is a symbol which people have been researching, not yet revealed. But people are researching out there because it's a puzzle. God won't give us everything because it's not the right time. But something starting with an X and it has a P in it is a very profound something that's going to be worth investing in. And I can't say the whole thing because I don't know it. But I had a dream and I saw an X and I think there may have been a number and something else and then P. Now, I'm only giving you what I prophetically hear. Otherwise, I could be accused of representing.
Anyways, guys, I just thought that was kind of fun. He had a dream, something, or somebody came to him and said that there's going to be something worth investing in. There's an X something and then a P. What do you think that was, right? Now, the real question is, when the XRP ledger launched a few years after this, do you think this guy bought as much XRP as he could have? If he did, where is he today? Anyways, guys, I thought that was a little bit light to end the video on. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, guys, can you hit like? Can you share this with somebody you know? Can you leave a comment? And, I just appreciate you being on this journey with me. Have a fantastic week. I'm going to bring you all the news, all the latest information. Make sure you got that bell notification turned on. Aloha. I have just built a course for beginners, intermediaries, and experts of XRP to better understand the XRP ledger and Ripple the company. If you're interested in getting that course absolutely free, there's a link down in the description. Please let me know what you think after you've taken the course. Aloha.